Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to unpack a moment that, well, it really blew up online. You probably saw it. That clip of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle dancing.
Yeah, dancing in the labor room, of all places. And our source for this is an article that makes a pretty strong case, actually, that the way people reacted, all that criticism, it kind of missed the real story.
Completely missed it, yeah.
Mm.
So let's set the scene a bit. It's from their documentary, right? They're in hospital room,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for their daughter Lilibet to arrive.
Anticipation in the air. And then they start dancing, kind of playfully, to start Keisha's baby mama dance. It looks, pretty spontaneous.
Exactly. It feels really personal, lighthearted almost, like a little private moment they happen to catch on camera.
But then, wow, it just took off. The article mentions it hit something like, 23 million views
Yeah.
in just a few days. Huge.
Which is right where things got complicated, according to this source. Instead of people seeing it as, I don't know, sweet or relatable.
It got slammed hard.
Yeah, the article points out that critics just jumped on it immediately.
They did. The source lists some of the things people were saying, that it was all for show, performative.
Calculated attention seeking.
Uh-huh. And even really out there stuff, like questioning if Meghan was even really pregnant. It just became this magnet for negativity online.
And what I find interesting is how the article uses that reaction as a jumping off point.
Yeah.
It asks, okay, hang on, is this really just about this one dance video?
Or is it maybe highlighting something bigger, a pattern we should be looking at?
Exactly. The analysis digs into that, suggesting, well, maybe this wasn't just a random flare-up.
Right. It sort of fits into this ongoing narrative, this intense scrutiny that Meghan Markle in particular seems to face constantly.
Yeah, the source really emphasizes her position. You know, a woman of color stepping into this very old, very white, very rigid royal institution.
And because of that, the article argues she's been subjected to what it calls outsized scrutiny for ages now, like every little thing she does.
Her authenticity gets questioned, right? Even moments of just like apparent happiness or joy are picked apart.
hmm And so the reaction to this dance video, this, supposedly private, joyful moment they shared, it just feeds right into that pattern.
The article really pushes you to think, would anyone else face this level of cynicism for like dancing with their partner while waiting for their baby?
Yeah, it asks, anyone else, anyone not named Meghan or not married to royalty, it's definitely hinting at a double standard.
So the argument boils down to the critics were maybe seeing what they expected to see based on pre-existing biases, and they completely missed what might have actually been going on.
Precisely. And that's where the article shifts again, challenging that negativity by looking at, well, why might someone dance during labor? Is there more to it?
And this is where it gets really fascinating because it reframes the whole thing. The source suggests dancing during labor isn't just, a bit of fun. It can actually be healing.
Yeah, healing, beneficial. It pulls in expert perspectives mentioned in the piece. They explain the physical side of it, how movement can genuinely help manage pain. It can help the baby get into a better position for birth. And there's even some suggestion it might potentially shorten how long labor lasts.
So that playful dance we saw wasn't necessarily just playful. Could have had a real practical purpose in that moment.
Could have, yeah. And then there's the whole emotional layer, which feels super relevant here too.
Right? Like dancing together, especially during such an intense time, it can help release anxiety, right? Build that connection between partners.
Definitely. And it's like this embodied way of expressing hope, anticipation for what's coming. It's a coping mechanism, really.
So viewing it that way, the article argues Harry and Meghan weren't putting on a show for millions. They were just being human.
Yeah, showing that birth isn't only this sterile medical procedure. It's deeply human, messy, emotional, and sometimes involves, well, dancing.
So if we pull back and look at the bigger picture the source is painting, the claim is that the core of that moment wasn't about going viral at all.
No, not intentionally anyway. It was about them connecting, finding a way to cope and express love as they waited for their child, using a method that felt right for them.
And the article really lands on this idea that what that moment needed wasn't judgment. It needed a bit of grace.
A lot of grace, probably, yeah.
Absolutely. And, despite all the online drama it kicked up, the video itself, viewed through this lens, it kind of reminds us of some important things.
Like what?
Well, first, that there's clearly no one way to give birth, right? Everyone's experience is different.
True. And also that joy, even something spontaneous like a dance, it absolutely has a place in delivery rooms. It doesn't have to be all solemn and serious.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe most importantly, it reminds us that these incredibly famous people, they are still just people.
Mm-hmm. Human beings going through these huge fundamental life moments, and they deserve dignity, celebration, maybe even just a bit of peace, especially then.
So for anyone who saw that clip and maybe had that cynical reaction or jumped to conclusions, the article leaves you with this thought, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's quite provocative. It basically says, maybe instead of criticize
You
it,
should have just listened to the music.
yeah,
Forget the noise and just see the moment.
it really does reframe the whole thing, doesn't it? Puts it in a different light.
It does. And I think this whole deep dive really, it's been about trying to look past that initial loud reaction, getting beyond the controversy.
And trying to understand the deeper story, the other potential interpretations that maybe got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. And looking at moments like this matters, I think, because they're not just about the individuals involved, are they?
No, they often hold up a mirror to us,
Yeah.
to society. How we react tells us something about our own biases, how we view public figures, especially women.
How we handle vulnerability, joy, all of that.
Exactly. It's a lens.
So maybe the takeaway for you listening is next time something simple seems to cause this huge online fuss, just pause for a second.
Yeah, consider the different angles. Look beyond the obvious reaction.
Try to find the deeper meaning, perhaps, and maybe, just maybe, look for the joy first, even if it's somewhere unexpected. Like a dance in a living room.